You know, they think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. You know, I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, wait, I'm here. Who want to fight me? Who?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
My goal is to demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all of the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. Just another manic Monday. Say, no, it ain't really been that manic, man. I just want to get on here and talk some boxing, man, and go over some things. Cokie! Bodywork Boxing Salute. Cokie! Man, I appreciate you, man, for hanging in there with me, man, all the time, man. Ride or die. But I want to get into some things today around, you know, some of the, I call them narratives in boxing. I'm not saying that there's some truth to them. It's just the conversations around these things and some of the things that July the 12th. Yeah, that July the 12th. That's enough time. Cokie. Don't threaten me with a good time. I might have to, man. I appreciate that, man. I might have to. Cookie Monster sounding good. I got you, Cokie. Oh yeah, thanks for planting that seed. That's enough time, Cokie. Thanks for telling me that now. That's what's up, man. I appreciate that. I believe you too, man. Body work, Cookie Monster. I believe that. Yeah, I'm gonna get with you, Cokie. I'm gonna get with you. But it's really the conversations around a lot of the boxing talk, right? And how people choose to shove things down your throat. You know, how the positioning around it, right? And then the storylines behind it and the things that they make you focus your attention on, right? And to be honest, right, they're basically saying, like, one of the narratives is like basically casuals mean more than hardcores, which, and it to a certain extent, yeah, you have to be able to appeal to the casual market. Why? Because people buying your fights, people buying tickets, like people wanting to go out on events. They might not necessarily be boxing fans, but if it's a big fight, they happen to be in Vegas, or it's a big fight, it's in Atlantic City, they might go and frequent the event. So yeah, to a certain extent, casuals do run it from a money perspective, but it's up to the hardcores, right? When places and people and media try to push things onto casuals to try to influence them, right? A lot of the times it's up to the hardcores to kind of put some backing to it, or some validity to it, or some clarity, or some context around the things that people talk about in boxing, right? And I don't think it's enough hardcores that be objective, like, because we all got agendas, right? My agenda is silence is consent, meaning if you don't say anything about it, then that means you agree. They say all it takes for evil to prevail is for grown men and women, I'm gonna add, to remain silent, meaning that if something's going on and you don't say nothing, that means, like, you know, you along with it. You see somebody doing something they ain't supposed to do, you don't say nothing. I mean, you kind of agree with it. Now on the streets, you kind of, sometimes you might gotta mind your business. But for the most part, I'm one of them type to where even outside, man, I can't see nothing crazy happen around me. That's why I kind of protect myself, and I'm out and about all the time. but I'm always on high alert with my surroundings. You know, and I don't know if y'all heard that Fiend song. I don't know if y'all heard that Fiend song. You know what I'm saying? I'm never, you know, I ain't gonna say too much, but you gotta say something, right? And a lot of times when people want to talk boxing, they want to talk about certain things. Easily baked. Salute Easily Baked. Salute Bodywork. Salute Coke Key and Cookie Monster. Easily Baked. Salute. But I always say, man, I gotta speak to these things, right? And a lot of time when you speak to the things that's going on, you may come off as though you dislike or you're trying to disrupt or hate. Like, hate is overused. I'm telling y'all what hate is. Hate is when somebody end up looking like strange fruit. You know what I'm saying? Hate is when you know somebody hawk in your food, you know, in the drive-through. That's hate. Like, hate is when, you know, hate is when you riding and you see somebody on the sidewalk, right? And it's raining, right? And you know it ain't nobody in the left lane. You could easily just slide over. But hate is when you just whoosh, like right on the side of the road. Like, that's hate, right? And so a lot of things that I say, like, this is not catered towards the people who, if it was a baby crib, you could fit your head in between those bars, like the narrow-minded. This is not for the narrow-minded. This is for critical thinkers, people who want to think outside the box and kind of add some professionalism to the conversation around boxing. It's like, we don't have to gaslight. We don't have to be so, I want to say polite, because it is good to have polite conversation, but we don't have to be so passive, right, when it comes to some of these narratives. Because when you don't say nothing, when you don't speak to it, when you don't break it down, and then I'm noticing now that when you really want to break something down, the minute you start breaking it down, people just want to, it's like their brain shut down. They don't even really want to, like, break it down. They want to glaze over it and move on to the next thing, because that's just not sensational enough. That don't get their juices flowing, their proverbial juices flowing. No diddy, right? But I'm one of them people, man. I want to know the length, the width, the height, the breadth, the depth, the capacity, the buoyancy, the volume of a thing, right? It's like back in the day when they spoke less, which conveyed more, because everything had like a deeper meaning. So that's what I try to do. I try to understand so I could talk less and you can pretty much understand. If you have a relationship with anybody and you're real close, the longer y'all spend together, the better y'all communication is, the more in depth you go. You can say less and mean more. You can damn near you can just give somebody a look if y'all close enough, and you actually already know what the person is thinking in a roundabout way. A smirk, a smile, a eyebrow raise. You already know what's going on. That's how we need to be out here in the boxing community. But it's a lot of people that want to, they want to be so passive. It's like they're running for president or something. It's like, what are you racing for? Like, what are you, like, this is not nobody gonna vote you as president. Like, nobody's gonna put you in office anywhere. It's like, just listen to the audience, listen to your audience, listen to the people that take time out and invest time into hearing you out and what you got to say, but also listen to what people are actually telling you. Sometimes I go through a point in time where I don't talk. I'll just listen, just wait. I'll just watch. I just observe, so that I make sure I have a full comprehensive understanding of what's going on. And today's day and time, I guess because of the likes, the clicks, the views, the super chats, the cash apps and all that, people feel like they gotta bring some spice, some extra sizzle, which is cool. But it's like, somebody got to do the dirty work. Somebody got to do the body work. Somebody got to, like, break shit down, give you a different perspective and a way to actually look at things, so that you're not just going along with the crowd. Somebody got to be like, hey, man, we ain't taking the elevator today. Let's take some stairs. What's wrong with taking the stairs? But I want to get into this, man. I'm not, y'all know that gaslighting is a form of manipulation, and we know that it's at an all-time high. So I'm not going to go over that part. I'm going to get right into boxing fans today and a lot of these narratives. You know what I'm saying? Interesting. See. Let me see. Bodywork, I look forward to your notes and your breakdown of rankings at 135, 140, and 147. Things going to get real interesting. Yeah, I'm going to get into that. I want to go into the bold ones. I want to go into the bold print, and I'm going to get into the fine print, and we're going to open it up to wherever the conversation goes, Koki, because you always have some interesting things to add. And you were the first one that told me about, you were the first one that actually broke the news to me about Sabril Matias and Alberto Puello. You know what I'm saying? About the dance. You were the first one. Salute, AC. Guess I don't know. Salute, AC. Thanks for coming in, man.
What's good, bro? What's good? I just having a bunch of technical difficulties today, bro.
I feel you. It get like that. I just wanted to bring you on so you're not just sitting back there, man. And you can interject whenever. But I'm gonna open it up, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put this up here. Let's see. Them technical difficulty days, right?
Yeah, bro. It's like taking one internet server down, and the one you just got, now you can't use it because the technician's got to come back. So now I'm rushing to put back the old cable joint and got to reset that whole jump off up. Like, come on, are you fucking kidding me? And I don't feel like doing that bullshit today. Yeah, that was my attitude. That's why I was like, I kept on hopping off pop shit and like, what's going on with the internet? So,
yeah, I seen it was like two of y'all at one point.
Yeah, I was like, man, this is that bullshit, man. So I just deaded it and said, you know what? Just let me reinstall the old cable shit, just to get it back until this guy can come, till this technician can come out. But it's both the chats, both y'all shows got a topic that, no Diddy, that's got a lot of meat on the bone.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I want to go in depth, man, and I want to speak to some of these things in a perspective that it's like when we talk about subjects, because I see it a lot where it's like some people, their whole conversation is to like tear down, like because they rooting for this one over here, they want to tear down the other one. I want to make it clear that that's not really what I do over here, and I think a lot of the stuff I do over here go over a lot of people's heads because we so tribal and everything. Like my whole thing is to like get people to start critically thinking about these things, like get more in depth with the topic. Don't just be a parrot, you know what I'm saying? Don't just be regurgitating, don't just be rehearsing the same old dumbass narratives. So I want to go over this from a perspective that's going to get people to actually really think about this and actually look at what's going on versus the conversation about what's going on.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of what you're saying, it's like, as a boxing fan, even if we don't agree with a certain content creator, if that content creator poses a solid question, but you're not fucking with his or her take on such a really good question, it doesn't negate the fact that that is a good question to ask.
Right.
Because we all know, as a matter of absolute fact, a broken clock is always right twice a day.
Exactly.
So even if it's a broken clock over there, if they pose something that's like, yo, that is a legitimate question. I don't really fuck with dude like that, but the question he poses, like, I can rock with that question. I'm still not rocking with your take on the question, but the question itself has a lot of validity to it. You know what I'm saying? So we're looking at a situation, and just so people are clear, I'm a huge Devin Haney fan, right? But here's one thing I do realize. My guy, Devin Haney, is on the undercard, just like Shakur is on the undercard.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to come with that same energy and the same perspective that, yeah, at times you're on the undercard because you're trying to come back. But in this case, it's a little bit different because what is Shakur coming back from? That had no losses, didn't go through any adversity. So that's just my take is going to be on why. And the question is, okay, my guy's on the undercard. AJ fans had to deal with AJ being on the undercard. We've all had our favorite fighter, even after they were champion, wind up on somebody's undercard. Let's really dive into why that happens and understand that it's part of the game, or is it because they're being shitted on? So, you know, that's going to be my perspective tonight.
Good take. Good perspective. So let's break this down. Like the biggest one right now, because everybody is excited. Everybody is wanting to see Shakur against somebody of some validity. Now, William Zepeda does have validity now. Like he does have a good resume, even when you factor in going, 22 rounds with Tevin Farmer, and I think other than Tank coming up, and then the potential rematch with Devin and Ryan, he's the first guy to actually do out of the young guns or whatever you want to call them. He's the first one to actually do a rematch like that, where it's like, okay, Zepeda's actually the first one, which is actually no, Devin was. Devin did 24 rounds with Kambosos. So yeah, he's not the first. Devin was the first one to do it. But the narrative is that Shakur will prove his greatness with the win over El Cameroon, Zepeda. And then some of the side narratives is Bud is top 5 ever, like of all time. Tank is finished. Turkey saved boxing. Jake Paul rules. PBC is in ruins. Devin is greater than Floyd. Benavidez is all hype. Benavidez is all hype, and hardcores don't matter. Like, man, like these are just some of the things, man. These are boxing fans today. You will catch boxing fans today making these kind of claims, and I'm like, whoa, Kimo Sabe. But let's break down Shakur real quick. And I got an example. I'm gonna play a clip. I'm gonna play this little clip that I seen, and this speaks to what I be saying about the OnlyFans, because I'm a fan of all of these guys. If you're in my boxes to watch, if you're in my intro, if I've done shit, I think I've probably done over at least 40-50 videos about Shakur alone. Like I may probably more than that. Like I would have to go back through my videos, but in support of him, in backing him in a lot of the fights over the YouTube where people was trying to, picking sides and all that, I was holding him down, putting stakes in the ground for him at a point in time, putting the anchor and saying, oh, that's not true. So now I'm coming around to where I went critical on him, and now I'm just sitting back like, man, like, how can I speak on the dude without people thinking I'm hating? I just want to give my perspective as a fan and how it pertains to the conversation around it, because him and Boots are like, the conversation with him and Boots are about the same. I'm fans of both, but it's like the fan base, and if you say anything critical, they automatically say you're hating, and I hate that. I hate that, because it's like, that you just don't feel comfortable with the conversation. You don't have enough information. But I got something that's going to actually show in detail what I'm actually talking about. So I'm gonna play this clip. It's from YSM. He caught up with Wally, and I always had much respect to Wally. I've never said anything bad about Wally. And I appreciate what he's done in his son, with his grandson, and with Zay Quinn. And I actually seen him that day when I was at the Boots fight. Like, he was very close. Bold and understanding, salute. Latch Puma skills, Bodywork. What's up? Salute. Latch Puma, bro, what's up? Bodywork. his twin Bodywork in the building. Salute his twin. I appreciate it, man. Y'all done came out for your boy, man. I like that. I like to see those, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna play this, but I gotta put this up. Let me put this up real quick. So it's a copyright disclaimer. Act 1976 allowances made for fair use purposes such as criticism. That's probably what I'm doing. Comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. So I'm doing criticism and research. That's why I'm having this, and this is why I'm using this. So let me get into this clip. And this the whole thing is only like 4 minutes, but in the beginning, he's talking about Zay Quinn, and then I want to paint this. I'm not paint this picture, but I want to walk y'all through this clip and let y'all know how I feel when I hear shit like this. Let's see. Here we go. Let me cue this up.
I think other than that, I think he done is unrated about a man to B+.
Do you want his career to progress in the same way that Shakur had in terms of speed? Because Shakur kind of flew for a world title pretty quickly. Do you think Zay Quinn can do the same thing, or would you want him to take his time?
Well, you know, Zay Quinn is not as seasoned and as experienced as Shakur is, but you know, I think as far as his maturization, how well it goes, I think it'll dictate, his opponents as well, and the competition that he's going to face and trying to obtain the title.
Just two more questions for you. Shakur, Williams, Zepeda. It looks like it's finally going to happen next. Do you think Zepeda is going to be Shakur's toughest fight? He throws a lot of punches, hits really hard. Do you think he will be his toughest fight?
No.
So who would you say, if it's not Zepeda, who do you think was tougher for Shakur on his resume currently?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think, I'm hoping when we fight Tank, that would be his toughest opponent.
Okay, let's stop right there. Okay, this is what happens, right? This is a perception versus reality conversation. First of all, when the interviewer asked the question, I don't really think he did a proper volley, even though he started giving attributes to Williams Zepeda before the question. It should have been just, in my opinion, in my opinion, it should have just been a proper volley is, do you think Williams Zepeda would be Shakur's toughest opponent? And not describe Zepeda's attributes. That's up to him to be able to divulge that. In my opinion, this is what I would have done if I was in those shoes. Do you think Zepeda is the toughest? And Wally's first instinct was no. So then the interviewer says, well, looking back, basically, who would you say, looking at his resume, who would you say would be his toughest? Wally Moses instantly says, well, I hope when we face Tank, that would be his toughest opponent. Nobody brought Tank up. Nobody brings Tank up. Like, this is what I'll be trying to say. You gotta fight. Your grandson gotta fight. And this is all due respect to Wally. But your grandson gotta fight with Williams Zepeda. What does Tank have to do with this? He said either your past resume, meaning the people that you fought, like what, Joet Gonzalez, Oscar Valdez, Robson Casasiao, Yoshino, people like that, Nakatilla, people like that. Not to project who would be, but let's carry on. So I want you to catch this. Wally interjected Tank's name in this.
I don't think he'd be as tough. So,
You don't think who will be as tough?
Tank could be as tough as everybody think he is.
I don't think Tank. Who was talking about Tank?
But wait. The thing that's fucking me up in what he's saying is, you just said Zepeda's not his toughest competition. Then you say, hopefully it's when we face Tank. And then less than 10 seconds after that, I don't think he's that tough.
As everybody say he is.
Yeah, so it's like,
you see what I'm saying? This is what be getting me about it. And people be trying to gaslight me, asking like, oh man, Mike, you over. No, well, on this channel, we're gonna break it down and analyze it. We gotta analyze what's being said. So it's not just me, because AC caught it he contradicted himself like right away. First of all, nobody was talking about Tank. They asked about a past opponent, and you just interject Tank. And he got the volley was about Zepeda.
So you think it'll be a kind of an easy fight for Shakur?
Yeah, especially due to the height, the size, and the boxing experience. A lot of people don't know, like Tank, you know, a lot of guys say they the greatest fighter in the world, but they had never been the greatest fighter.
I was right in the comment section. I had chimed in. I went in under Michael Rod. I didn't even go in under Bodywork. I chimed in and I said, man, Tank is not running around saying he the greatest fighter in the world. That's projection. That kind of sound like hate. You know what I'm saying? Because, and I put it in there, I was like, and somebody came back and said, well, if basically saying, well, you know, if he was saying he must not believe it because the greats do that, like Floyd, like Ali, all this. I said, man, stop gaslighting. I said, first of all, Wally brought up Tank, and Tank don't be going around. Tank be minding his business. He don't even be talking like that. You hear him say stuff like, I'm the talk dog. Them niggas gotta come see me. Stuff like that. He don't be running around. Tank actually exhibits more humility than people even give him. But they bring him up. They bring them up out of nowhere and then just be hating. Like they just out of nowhere. Like we're not even talking about Zepeda, which is supposed to be what we're talking about. But let me let it play.
Well, not at any part of their career, not the JO part, not at the senior part, not the media part, or not at the youth men's part. Now, the difference is when you got a guy like Shakur. Shakur has been number one in every aspect of the boxing, you know, from the JOs to the seniors, to the media, to the youth men's, to the international fighters. So he's one at every level. So a lot of those guys, instead of going ahead and facing that competition, they took the quick route to Mexico.
Do you think we actually...
Now, who took the quick route to Mexico? Like,
we see Shakur versus Gervonta, meaning do you expect Lamont to beat him in the rematch?
Well, Lamont may beat him in the rematch. I think so, because, you know, I'll give Lamont an edge because Lamont, you know, came to a couple of our camps to spar with us, you know. So he's seen some pretty decent southpaw. And, you know, so I think, you know, when he boxed against Tank, you know, that boxing level and IQ inside the ring wasn't as high as it was when he was in camp with us. So, you know.
You don't think Gervonta will make the necessary adjustments to beat Lamont?
Let me say it to you like this here. Like I said prior to this here, I said, none of them guys have never, look at their careers, okay? As a JO, as a senior, everything, they never were number one. They never were number one. You understand? So now, you were never number one in the amateurs at any point in your life. What make you say that you're the best fighter in the world at the next level? When you lost to guys that already are better than you. See what I'm saying?
Last question for you. Terrence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, September is supposed to be happening.
I'm not even going to open up that can of worms. Talk to me, AC.
It's the type of thing you kind of scratch your forehead, give like one of those adult rubs on your forehead and just ask yourself, you're facing Zepeda. Zepeda may not be an easy out as you're projecting it to be, especially when we look at the dynamic of your grandson, his hands. So focus on Zepeda. We didn't care for the Tank critique or the Tank analogy and all of this other stuff because it's irrelevant to what you have to face right now. The problem sometimes with people is when you overlook the guy that's in front of you, you don't actually get past him. So with that being said, it's like, I appreciate your take. I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm trying to figure out why was the majority of what you said in that situation. Why did it have to be about that guy when you're facing this guy? Now, I like the Zepeda versus Shakur fight. I'm kind of on the fence right now because I'm looking at the dynamics and I'm like, if Zepeda make this dude work by using his hands, he could possibly, put him in a position just by blocking his shots and trying to catch his shots, trying to, catch Shakur's shots on his forearms and elbows. That's gonna fuck Shakur's hands up, and then later rounds in the fight, it could easily go to Zepeda because he'll be the more aggressive person. I hear what you're trying to say by talking yourself into this, but like we were saying earlier, the problem is this, bro. The steam you had behind you, the wind in your sail is now a gentle breeze. So you got to go out there, regardless of what people say. And they said, yeah, but y'all said he had to stop. Y'all said he had to stop Patty. Well, this is a big name, and looking at your situation, you got to show up and show out. You really got to put pause on this guy and make that definitive statement, because if you don't, you become not a tough out, but a hard sell.
Right. And this is my take. Good take. You brought up the hands and stuff, and that's what I was saying as far as all it takes is one hit or for you to feel, because we just saw it in the last fight. So we don't hear about any therapy. I wish the interview would have said, hey man, so how's Shakur, is how's the hands? Like something more oriented towards Shakur or something more oriented towards Zepeda. And this is what I'll be trying to do. And then people be saying, oh man, you just meet Rod Tank. But I don't bring him up. Like I don't even really do much. Like when he go dark or he don't have nothing, I have my little pieces that I do from my perspective, but I don't base my channel around that, even though that's my guy. Now, the narrative about Shakur proving his greatness with a win over Zepeda. Shakur will prove how great he is, but proving greatness against Zepeda, because that's like saying that Zepeda is Diego Corrales, or Zepeda is Lomachenko, or Zepeda is who else? Since Tim in the Hall of Fame, even a Tim Bradley or Andre Ward, or greats. When you prove greatness, you do that up against people that they feel are on your level, like or greater than you. Yeah. So great would be Shakur. Like great was when Teofimo beat Lomachenko. That was
turned around before the Josh Taylor,
and then the Josh Taylor. Like those things are like the great. That's like a great action there. Yeah. That's why I call this a narrative, because nobody thinks there's a Zepeda on his level. And to use Shakur's own words, Shakur was like, man, I can't wait. This is such a mismatch. I can't wait for this fight. I have never heard him express that same kind of emotion or that kind of sentiment when I bring up what I call the Cold War. I have never heard him say, man, I want that fight so bad. I have never heard those kind of emotions when it comes down to him actually fighting Tank. I heard him say, oh man, that's the greatest fight. That's the best fight that could be made in boxing, or that's a super fight, or that's a mega fight, or whatever. But I've never heard like how he is lusting. He was lusting for this Zepeda fight. And I'm like, man, this is kind of weird. This is like a champion chasing his mandatory, and I'm like, it's the other way around.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Body. He said we see him lusting for the fight, but then you said he's not even on my level, so I can't wait to fight this guy. Bro, do you realize you sound like a fucking bully, not like a professional boxer? Why are you so thirsty to beat up a nigga that's not on your level? Why don't you try to say, you know what? This guy's on my level. Let me fuck this dude up. I'm thirsty for that fight. Just to piggyback off of what you're saying. I want that little short dude over there with PBC. That's the fight I'm really thirsty for. Give me a tall glass of fucking cold water right now. I'm so thirsty. So
yeah, like it's like okay, so Ashley's, whatever your name, whatever it is, Shakur has called for a Tank fight. He's called for a Tank fight. I really don't even know where to start with that, because once again, I'm saying I have never seen or heard Shakur express the same emotion that he has for this William Zepeda fight for a Tank fight.
And that's what we're talking about, Ashley.
And that's what we're talking about right now. Like I've never heard, man, I want that fight so bad, man. I can't wait to expose Tank. I can't wait to show everybody that he ain't who he say. Like the emotion behind it, because he's lusting for Zepeda, and I wonder why, because he just seen Tevin Farmer. He just seen Tevin Farmer, another southpaw, another defensive oriented. Even though he's aging a little bit, but he just he kind of seen some blueprints on how to do it. So I've never, and he's like, you can look at what Lamont did, but Lamont is orthodox, so it's not gonna go the same. It's not gonna be the same thing. It's just it's a stance clash anyway with that, and it's familiar. It's more familiarity between Tank and Lamont Roach. So yeah. I don't really think people can gauge that. Now maybe I said this right after the fight. I said now maybe a Devin, maybe a Ryan might have seen some things that Roach did that maybe they can, with longer arms and them also being orthodox, that they can take and put in their rucksack and say, oh, okay, that's how he dealt with Tank in this manner. Maybe them, but we talking about southpaw against southpaw. And Tank I ain't ever seen Tank with no real problems with no southpaw. Like I ain't really seen it. Like I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, I just want to jump in with this. Ashley, do you remember when Shakur was going to fight Jamal Herring? That was the last time he was actually thirsty for somebody who was considered on his level. Like he couldn't wait for the fight to establish himself, blah, 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 yada, 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 shmeal, shmaj. He was talking crazy about Jamal. They both of them were talking crazy about each other. But the point I'm making is this. It's the energy towards the fight. It's what you're telling us, how much of a display you're going to put on, who's on your level, who's not on your level. I'm going to prove to the boxing world that, I'm X, Y, and Z. He's talked his shit. He went out there and he performed that way against Jamal Herring. Now, mind you, to take the same energy as a Tank versus Lamont Roach, it's like going back to Shakur versus Jamal Herring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's really what we're saying, Ashley. It seems like it's different energy. But if we, this is one thing that I'm gonna say about this fight, right? This is what he is checking a block of mine that I actually had for Shakur, like I have, because Tank was either fighting champions or taking people's O's. So this is a block that I have checked to where it's like, okay, when are some of these other guys gonna start peeling the luster off of some of these other guys, like what Tank did to Frank Martin. Now, granted, the Frank Martin situation, he said he needed a little extra something on the check, and so he pulled out from the Shakur fight. I put the crosshairs right on Frank and said, man, Frank, why'd you do that, bro? Because we were salivating over that fight, just like we were salivating over the Shakur versus Kid Austin fight. So that was on Frank. He got put in the crosshairs for that. You know what I'm saying? And I had my time with that. I let Frank Martin go because he's one of the guys that I like too. You know what I'm saying? But he is checking a block, and he's going to peel the like. If Shakur is the Shakur that I grew to like as a fan, he is going to peel the luster off as a Zepeda. But nobody's talking about, okay, well, how is he going to do it? Nobody's talking about how Zepeda may have learned something from that Tevin Farmer fight. Nobody. And how much body work he did. A lot of body work too. That was the other adjustment that he did in the second fight. He did a lot of body work, man. He went to that body like crazy, man. I couldn't believe Tevin Farmer endured all of that. So he is checking a block by peeling the luster off of Zepeda. However, Zepeda is not the guy that's going to prove Shakur's greatness. It has to be somebody that everybody perceives that's on his level or on a higher level. That's why everybody wanted to see Devin and Shakur. Everybody wanted to see, and I have my choice in that. Everybody want to see Shakur and Tank. Everybody want to see Tank and Devin. Everybody want to see Tank and T.O. You know, Shakur entertained a T.O. So that's the caliber of fight that would actually prove Shakur's greatness. This fight right here for me is just going to prove that Zepeda isn't what everybody say he was, or all of the hype around him. Some of it is a little bit of promotion, some of it is a little bit of him having a good fan base, you know, things like that. But in flip and reverse, what it can do is it can prove that if Zepeda get his hand raised, it can prove his greatness. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It can prove his greatness. You know, and that's almost like one of them little double standard things that happens between sexes, to where nobody sees Zepeda on Shakur's level. Everybody looking at this like, oh man, is this Shakur just gonna do him bad? He don't deserve, even his OnlyFans said, man, he don't deserve to be in the ring with that guy and blah, blah, blah. But if Zepeda to get his hand raised, it'll prove how great or how good, because people gonna call him great. If anything happened where it looked like Shakur is because have you seen Shakur face adversity yet?
I've never seen. Have I ever seen Zepeda face adversity?
Have you seen Shakur face adversity yet?
No, because all of his fights, I'm a Shakur fan. All of his fights, he's either been the bigger guy or had X amount of advantages.
So that's what I'm saying. So, like, I would like for people to get more involved with the fight, more of the breakdown of this fight. I would like the conversation, just for Shakur's sake, to be centered around him and Zepeda. Is he not trying? In what way, Ashley? How is he trying to get the fight? Like, this is what I always ask. How do you go? How do you leave? And I hate to sound like, like I'm repeating myself all the time, but if you say you want a Tank fight and then you leave Top Rank and you go to Matchroom. You say you want a Tank fight and then you leave Matchroom and now you're with Lou DiBella. Like, how, like, which fights are you talking about? Because if he wanted a TO, he would have stayed on Top Rank. Like, the best plan, the hindsight of 2020 boys are seeing it now. But we were saying in real time that he should not have left Top Rank. You can't tell a man what to do with his career. Salute to Bo. Like, I agree with Bo. You can't tell none of these boxers because it's their career. They got to live with their decisions. Us as fans were saying, nah, I think he need to stay there. Why? Because he had chances. He had opportunities to get more belts. There were a lot of names. There were more of these Zepeda. You had a Moritaya that everybody talking about. People think that Moritaya is better than Zepeda. You had belts over there. You still had the belt that Loma had whenever he decided to come out of, from band camp or wherever he at. And the belt that Baranchuk had, who Keyshawn just got. You had two belts over there, as opposed to the one you got around your waist and the one that Tank got at PBC. But you can't say you want a Tank fight when you leave Top Rank and go to Matchroom. And then you want a Tank fight, but you leave Matchroom and you go to Lou DiBella. And if you wanted a TO is affiliated with Top Rank. Man, now Turkey kind of mixed it up. These guys, whoever's footing the bill for these things or doing whatever, that's something different. But a lot of the guys that he was saying he want wasn't where the guys that he's saying he want, he's not making moves to go to where they are to get the fights or staying where they were. And we had to take Keyshawn off the table because they're never going to fight.
So I just want to ask Ashley this question. When you made the statement that Zepeda was the only person he could fight, right? If you're a fan of his, you ask yourself, how did that even happen? If you fall asleep on the train, and you wake up and it's not your stop, you ask yourself, how the fuck did I get here? So that's the question that needs to be asked that time. How did we get here? So when you look at it, right, you got people who are calling Shakur out. You feel what I'm saying? You got people who've been calling Shakur out. You got people who said, yeah, I want to fight him. And Shakur, and I'm not going to say your type, you're one of those fans, but his most hardened fans will give you 10 reasons why that fight doesn't happen. He's not on his level. What has this person done? Here's the thing, Ashley, and I always say this. I say it like this. When we talk about the best fighting the best, I look at it in this era where it's actually 3 subcategories to that. You got the actual best guy, you got the best name, and the best opposition available to you at that time. Any one of those 3, if you're a fan of that fighter, you will justify till your teeth fall out that's a legitimate fight. What do you want him to do? And this is what's always said. Well, he's fighting such and such. What do you want him to do? You telling me he's not this? Yeah, he's a great name, but is he the best guy? No, he's not. He just got the best name. All fighters do it. I don't have a problem with it. Ray Leonard did it. Ali did it. Bud Crawford does it. Andre Ward did it. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's part of the game. But what we look for, and if you're gonna go down those 3 roads, is saying this. All right, Shakur, you were just at top rank, and just to piggyback and double down on what Body's saying, you were just at top rank, right? They offered you a 5-fight deal, $3 million a fight, allegedly. You feel
minimum.
What I'm saying?
That was going to be his minimum. Exactly. That was going to be guaranteed, and that was going to be the minimum he could make. So exactly. 3 or more.
So over there, you had one of the belts. You feel what I'm saying? Loma got a belt. He's over there with you. You feel me? And Bernacek had a belt. He was over there with you. So it's like ABC moved Errol Spence and blocked Bud out because Bud was over there. And they said, listen, all of these guys are in-house. Let's make all of these fights. Give our guy the absolute leverage. Because you got three belts. Why would you go over and sign with Eddie Hearn in the middle of a tank negotiation to go sign with Eddie Hearn to fight Padley? And then you're telling us about a Zepeda fight where the Zone couldn't make that fight. Because where is the fight actually being made right now? Are you with the Zone? Allegedly, no. You're over there with Oscar or somebody else.
Yeah, well, he with Lou DiBella. Yeah, he with Lou DiBella now.
So the point being made is, how did we get here? You had every opportunity and you pissed those opportunities away. Being a fan of a person and saying, listen, bro, I love what you do in the ring, but you're pissing away opportunities does not make you a bad fan. That's what makes you a great fan. Because you're noticing, bro, you're killing your opportunities.
And to go through this, Ashley, because we've done this before, right? We just don't beat a dead horse. But in that 5-fight deal, we had the reason that because Baranchek called him out.
Yes.
He called Shakur out. He said he wanted Shakur or Keyshawn. He wound up getting Keyshawn, but he called him out when he had that belt, when he won it. He called him out. So that was easy pickings right there. Like that was something that was a layup for Keyshawn. So then you also had the potential of Loma, and that might have been more enticing because Loma could have got a 2-for-1 special on his terms, on whatever he wanted to dictate. Because they probably was gonna still treat Loma like an A-side on that point over there because Loma is Loma, right? Then, but you got a reason that because he was trying to say that, oh, they didn't want to give me a Navarrete. Well, Tim Bradley is on record, and I can play the clip where Navarrete said he had a signed contract with Shakur's name on it. But we got played through the media Oh, they won't give me that Navarrete fight. No, the reason why is because whenever you win a belt, you're gonna have to fight either 2 or 3 more fights. I think it's like 3 more fights. That's what Tio had already peeled back the layers to that onion a while ago. But the names that was going to be associated was going to be probably a young Morataya or one of these other guys coming up. But I know Morataya was in it because Morataya is in the mix now for the IBF. You also had it was a signed contract where Jermaine Ortiz said he had a contract with Shakur. Don't know what happened, but I don't know what the disconnect was, but ultimately a TO contract popped up, and Jermaine was like, "Well, shit, I got to take this TO contract because he was in limbo." Jermaine just came out there and said that. So I just named a potential Loma, a Baranchek, a Morataya. You wasn't gonna fight Keyshawn, a Jermaine Ortiz. So those are all names like Jermaine Ortiz, and you got to do the circular you got to do the triangles because Jermaine Ortiz and T.O. fought, T.O. and Loma fought, Jermaine Ortiz and Loma fought. Jermaine Ortiz fought Jamel Herring. Shakur fought Jamel Herring. They do triangles over there in the same game that they say that was going on over at PBC with Earl and them belts. It's the same game they doing with Tank when it comes to Top Rank because the belts never left Top Rank, but people don't want to talk about that. Because Devin had to sign up to go over there. Devin had to go and do that whole because Lou DeBella had Cambosis. So Devin had to leave Matchroom and go over there to Top Rank just to get the joint.
Yeah.
And then he got a Loma. So, to say, oh, I want these fights and this, and yeah, I'll do this and this and that to people, that's one thing. But in action, and doing actions that make sense, you can't go to Matchroom and say, oh, don't try to negotiate a Tank fight. You don't try to negotiate a Tank fight, but you're gonna go over there and sign up for a Cordina and a Zepeda. And Zepeda is still with Golden Boy. And where you ultimately go, you went over to Lou DeBella to do a deal with Oscar. And all we got out of the Matchroom deal was a Padley. I mean, granted, Schofield fucked up the church's money, you know what I'm saying? And he got put in the scope as well. We ain't giving them no. So that thing, like everybody's playing keep away from Shakur and nobody will fight him. I did a video like 2 weeks ago and I said, let's play a game. Nobody will fight him. And we listed all of the people that raised their hand and said, yeah. And I even have a clip where Shakur is actually saying, shit, I'll go for T.O. He said, what's so funny is I'm actually bigger than T.O. He's on wax saying that. He's bigger than T.O. And T.O. was talking about going up to 47 to see Boots. So this is like this is if you think we're hating, we're just stating facts as far as the the instances and the circumstances to how we got where we at with him fighting him in the real scenario that's going on, a thorough analysis of what's going on and how and why we're getting this Zepeda fight and the narrative floating around this Zepeda fight. And like Koki said, he said, I hope people aren't underestimating Zepeda because of the Farmer fight. Styles make fights. Farmer is a genuine dog. Shakur has to dig deep and not just rely on his skills. It won't be an easy fight. And that I was saying that again, knowing the hand situation against a young Schofield. Now Schofield, he's like a young unpolished Sean Porter, but I think that he has more power, and he's definitely nowhere near his potential. We just not giving him no shine because he pulled out, and we don't really have no validity to it, so we're not giving him no shine. But that's the same reason why I was saying that fight was going to be interesting, because when you got bad phalanges, it's going to be kind of hard to keep somebody off of you that's coming with all they got. And judges here lately, we can see areas where they're not just going by what we perceive as the 4 judging criteria. They're going by, okay, well, who's the aggressor, who's the one pressing the fight. Because we've been seeing here more and more lately that the more effective guy, you can be more effective, but they can say you got outworked. Even though somebody threw more punches and landed less, if that number is higher than yours, they can say, oh, he pressed the action and he tried to make the fight. Even though he wasn't doing any effective punching, even though he didn't show the ring generalship. So judging is changing. And with a guy like Zepeda who's going to come forward, do body work, he don't care. Like sometimes he don't even care about getting hit. He's gonna go upstairs, downstairs. He's gonna press the action. He's gonna be up against it, especially with questionable hands.
You're talking about punches and bunches. That's what Zepeda's going to bring to the table. Volume punching, coming forward. Sometimes to people that are meticulous and methodical, that kind of shit fucks with them because they can't. They're looking for that moment to set and.
You went out, AC. Ashley, click the link, man. Click the link. I guess if you don't want to click the link, man, I can't do all the answering the questions like that. Like, cause you don't even come back and sandwich the questions or the thoughts that we're having right now. You don't bring no closure. You just pose another question.
Well, we know for an absolute fact he turned down Tank because he walked away in the middle of those negotiations, and it's on record that you see Bob and a bunch of other people like talking about it. You see Shakur talking about it, like, yeah, the negotiations are going XY, we're just settling on some details, la 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 la. And then a couple of weeks after that, we hear you're signed to the zone. But besides the Tank, I'm gonna say you turned down the possible call out, even though it was a call out. You turned down the
Herrera.
No, not Herrera. It's going back to Navarrete and Bernacek. JD Herrera and I forgot the other dude, Scooby. They both came up and just said right off the back, like, look, if this dude ain't doing what he's doing, he's pulled out the fight, I'm ready to go. You feel me? So when you got two young hungry bulls that, I'm gonna keep it a beam, the way you fought that night and your hands seemed to be okay, I don't think you would have got the stoppage on those two guys, but you would have beat them up to the point where they would have been like, yeah, that dude is nice. There is levels to this shit. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm just like, bro, just stop fucking up your opportunities, because we want to see you do great things. When Shakur first came out, and I'm looking at him, following him from the Olympics, and then being able to watch his fights and the transition to him becoming a pro, I was like, yeah, this little dude right here got all the markings of, one of those generational talents. But I just got to see how his career plays out. And at the end of the day, I don't know what that turn was. I don't know what that thing that's going on with you. Maybe it was your hands, but it seems to be more than your hands, because it's an attitude. Don't price yourself out of fights. Don't tell somebody a good, solid name he's not on your level. That doesn't matter. What matters is the fight. Getting another notch under your belt, staying busy. You knocked off somebody else who's could be undefeated at the time they talking shit. So if they're undefeated, take their O, and then show them, like, look, there's real levels to this. You a puncher, I'm a boxer, and for the longest standing, the boxer will always beat the puncher. That's like a boxing golden rule. So why are you turning down some of these fights with hard punchers?
Yeah, because to our understanding, JD Herrera was raising his hand, Kurt Scobie was raising his hand, but then Padley was chosen.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is this, man. Shakur there are a lot of people that would like to fight Shakur. There's some people that was gonna say, nah, you're not gonna come in and spar me before we fight, because we might fight, or That's kind of like Brian Norman just did that with Devin when they said Devin wanted to go. He's like, nah, because that's a potential fight. So some people are going to do that because he was trying to do that with Sabril Matias, and he said something about T.O., but this was around the time when he also was saying he would fight Isaac Pitbull Cruz, and I was saying, well, if you'll go to 40 for them, why you won't go to 40? Why you being selective with who you'll go to 40 for? Because in all honesty, I ain't no genius, but if you got the WBC and you want to really get some smoke, you could have went up there with Puelo. You know what I'm saying? After him doing that to Gary Russell, he's a boxer. Like it'd have been boxer. You'd have shown boxer. That would have been like for the Sweet Science fans. People would love to see that. Like where you actually fighting somebody that's taller, longer, actually get proven because he beat a boogeyman and Gary Russell. You know, you could have moved up and you could have forced the Sabril Matias and defanged him, but Pyro did it. And now I know you bigger than Pyro because you bigger than T.O. Like it's just weird. But to say that all these guys don't want to fight him and to run around with this boogeyman stuff and all this, that's a little far-fetched. I just think that this will be more of a test than what we think, even though I don't see Zepeda being on his level, but Zepeda is, because a lot of times this will happen in boxing. The more skilled guy can get outworked. Or if you one of them guys, I say this all the time, Tom Brady is one of them guys, when he used to be in the pocket, he liked a clean pocket. Meaning he didn't like people dangling around his feet and lunging for his legs and all that. It'll throw him off. Or if you hit him early, you can flush to him and kind of change the trajectory of the game. Shakur is like that in a sense too. I think that's why I thought the Schofield fight would be so interesting, because he's going to get in there and rough you up. You might have to worry about his head, and for a guy that just want to like straight surgically box, that'll throw you off your game a little bit. You know, I think Zepeda can do some of that in this fight too, like rough him up, kind of make it ugly. Don't give you that clean pocket. Don't box you the way you like, where, okay, we're going to stand at the distance and trade like that. No, he's going to come in, go to your body, rough you up, hit you where he can, you know, make it rough, hold, clinch, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Maybe hit you off of the clinch, make it a kind of ugly, nasty fight, which is like for a pure boxer who like a clean pocket, who like to be able to work and have space and timing. You know, that can disrupt your rhythm. That can disrupt a lot of things with how you operate.
Perfect example, Marcus Maidana versus Adrian Broner.
Yeah.
Completely disrupted everything Adrian Broner could do. Floyd Mayweather had to fight the motherfucker twice. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because that type of dude just makes you look bad. And this is what we thought Schofield was gonna do. This is what we thought what the fuck is his name? At 47. Just 4 boots. Why am I brain farting on this name?
Stanionis?
Yeah, this is what we thought Stanionis was gonna do. This is what, you know, we thought young Schofield was gonna do. Kid Austin. So we look for these dynamics because, just like it was said earlier, and I think Ashley said it, was styles do make fights. You feel what I'm saying? Look at the disruption that both Michael and Leon Spinks did to boxing, because they were the unorthodox kings. Like, they throwing punches like, wait a minute, you'll dislocate your shoulder if you try to throw a punch from that angle. Mm-hmm. But they was able to do it. You know, I always talk about fighters like Michael Elijah Day and some of these other guys who are unorthodox boxers, you know, and disrupted the cart and beat some really good dudes. Aaron Pryor, he was an unorthodox guy, but he wound up making that unorthodox look good. Like, damn, bro. God damn. Bernard Hopkins to me was an unorthodox fighter.
Yeah, he had the little veteran tricks, but even at times in that Ryu fight, even though I was really proud of Ryu, there were times when Pitbull Cruz made it look like, ooh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He made it look interesting.
Yeah. And this is why I like sometimes when the pure boxer just gets in the ring with the guy that just doesn't give a fuck. He's like, I don't care. Wherever this punch is gonna land, it's gonna land, and it's gonna hurt. So if you could withstand all of this and not let me get on the inside, then you're gonna beat me. But if not, I'm gonna beat your ass. These type of guys know that the other guy is far more skilled than them, but they're not afraid to take the challenge because they see the after effects. If I beat him, this is what happens to me. You feel me? So with that kind of thing being said, it's like, this is what we want to see. If Zepeda goes in there and he disrupts the apple cart with Shakur, to me, it's not going to be unexpected. It's not going to be unexpected. I expect Shakur to win, but if Zepeda wins, it's not going to be unexpected to me.
Yeah. What's up, UK? Don't play.
Yo, what's going on? Yo, word up, man. Listen. The Padley got a paycheck, yeah. The Padley got a paycheck. He got a big money payout on that fight, you know. And what I'm saying is, you know, this fight against Zepeda, against Shakur Stevenson, it's still a warm-up fight. So I'm still seeing it as a Shakur Stevenson warm-up fight. I'm not seeing it as anything legit, bro.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. I mean, this is the way some people are going to take it, but let's just look at it like this. Zepeda did 20-something rounds with Tevin Farmer. That ups the ante. When you just look at it at from that dynamic, it tells you that, hey, this might be a better fight than what we think it's going to be.
I think it's a good fight, but listen, everybody wants to see Shakur against Tank, bro. It's gotta happen. It's gotta go down, man. It's gotta happen. All these idiots have built their careers off the last 50 years since Muhammad Ali, since the great Muhammad Ali. And I'll say it again, since the great Muhammad Ali, nobody has built their career of actually fighting people which they wanted to get in a ring with. Look at Chris Eubank and what's his name, Nigel Benn. They ducked James Toney on fucking national television, bro. They ducked him on national television. And like, James Toney was the bitch of Roy Jones Jr., yeah? It's true, though. It's true. That's some facts. So listen. You can run and fight all you want, but eventually, if you want to get your props, like in the real world, it doesn't matter what your life is like or what you're doing. If you've chosen boxing as a career, you're gonna have to fight someone that, you know, you're gonna get your flowers from, bro. And I think Shakur Stevenson will be undisputed. I think Josh Taylor's gone up to 147 now. We got all that shit going down with Rolly and Ryan and shit, all this crap. But I think it will happen. But I think Shakur. Do you know what I think about Shakur? He's coming off the back of all of them guys. So he's a bit like Daniel Dubois. He's coming at the back end of their careers. So like this Dubois fight with Usyk, I think Dubois could win that rematch, you know. I think he could win it, bro. That's just my opinion. So, I'm sorry to bother you all.
No, it's good. It's good. No, you speaking my language, because I was the one that pointed out the fact that body shot was a legal shot and the fight should have been over.
It was a legal shot. I was in that Moorfields Eye Hospital, like when I was a kid in London, and I had something in my eye like glass, and I was in there, and then like when Dubois got hit by the Joyce fight. When he got a fractured eye socket, I was in London working. So I was actually working in London like 2019. and I went to the Joyce Dubois fight, and I was actually like, I was in the Moorfields Eye Hospital, like checking on Daniel Dubois. I knew back then that Daniel Dubois would come back, and like I knew that he would challenge for a world title. People been writing that guy off for too long. I'm sick of people writing people off because they get a loss. It's just ridiculous, man. And like this shit with fucking, I'll tell you what, Floyd Mayweather needs to keep Mike Tyson and fucking Ali's name out of his mouth, bro. I'm sick of that clown, bro. I'm sick of that fucking clown, yeah? It's like, it's been going on, it's a disgrace, that guy. He's just going on talking garbage. It's like, what are you on about? It's just like ridiculous.
When you look at the situation, right? And I don't have a problem with fighters taking a loss. You said this, and I think you said his name like 3, maybe 4 times. The great Muhammad Ali. That man got 5-6 losses. Granted, most of those losses came, later on in his career after the whole situation of him going to jail. But the point I'm making is this. A loss is just that guy was better on that night. It doesn't mean you're a shit boxer for the rest of your career. You have to be able to bounce back and redefine yourself. When it comes down, like we're looking at a big upset that just happened this weekend, right? And that big upset was the law when Charles Conwell took his loss. You feel me? So
Facts.
With that loss of Charles Conwell, right? He's got the world in front of him right now, because it may make some of these guys who were ducking him now want to fight him. You feel what I'm saying? Now you're from the UK. One of my new guys that I'm big on is Hamza Shiraz.
Mm-hmm.
I say hands down, Hamza lost that fight against Carlos Adames. You got a gift there, but we want to see what you look like now that you're moving up to 168, because there's a whole mix in that pie of what you can bring to the table as far as being at 68. Hamza Shiraz versus Diego.
I won a lot of.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I won a lot of money on the Adames. It's like my reception's not too good at the moment, but I won a lot of money on the Adames fight because they always say Carlos Adames is this, is that, but Carlos Adames is like, he's only lost like 1 or 2 fights his whole career, and he's fighting some basic British guy like Hamza Shiraz. Do you know what I actually thought of that fight? I thought that Shiraz was lucky not to get knocked out early, bro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what And listen, Carlos Adames is a proven individual. He's had some of the biggest fights.
No, Carlos Adames is proven. I just thought, for me, I had Shiraz winning because all the energy. I felt that all Shiraz has to do is really use his jab and control mid-range to range. It should be an easy fight for you. But for whatever reason, the alleged hand injury or whatever, it allowed Carlos Adames to get inside. And I was like, if Adames gets inside, this fight will look like Hamza Shiraz versus Ammo Williams. But I felt that Adames is a far better Ammo Williams. But I felt the fight would look like that. And that's where Adames could win the fight if he could get in. But being that he didn't do that, I was just like, yeah, bro, nah. You lost this one. That was a gift. But
yeah, I think Adames impressed me. I wasn't that high on him, but he showed some wrinkles to his game. He showed that he really wanted it. And then I don't make excuses. I don't make excuses, but I'm like, Shiraz didn't box the way he normally did. It could have been some of the things Adames did. It could have been a hand. I don't make no excuses, but I was impressed by Adamas, but man, I'm mad UK jumped off. UK don't play jumped off, but I do want to give the UK fans their props in this sense. I said a while ago that I had to apologize to Shakur because he was saying, you know, the UK fans, you know, are better, and I think Bud has said it too. And at first I was offended, right? And then I thought about it, and I said, why are you offended? And I had to really critically think and break it down. The same energy that he had where he came, where UK said one loss, you know, don't define you and all that. That's what I attribute. That's what I love about the UK fans and why we're so brutal, because we give up. Like, we are enamored with even though I don't have the same sentiments about Floyd, I have those same sentiments about the era we're in, where if somebody pop your O, you ain't shit all of a sudden, or you was trash, or you got exposed, or whatever other reason it was. You know what I'm saying? Because you have somebody like Earl who unified the division with 3 belts. He went into the pound for pound best, and now everybody say he ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? So I do say that UK fans, because it's the same reason why somebody like Derek Chisora can keep getting back in the ring. And they're gonna show up, they're gonna buy tickets, they're gonna sing, they're gonna celebrate, they're gonna praise that man every time he lays them up. We're one and done. You can have a bad night. People were actually saying that Conwell got beat up or he lost, had a bad loss. I'm like, what fight were you watching? Yeah. Like, even if like, because I say, okay, he got edged out. That was not a bad loss. He got edged out on the scorecard. And as American fans, we want to discard him away like a tampon or something. It's no, man, the dude is still a threat. It could work in his favor to where people might be like, oh, well, yeah, like how people saw Tank take the draw. Oh, he looking vulnerable. He looking like this. He looking, so it might make people want to fight him, or it might be an excuse now to where, oh, he got a loss. What can he do? Like they did with Sabril, because when he took his loss, they're like, oh man, what can he do, man? I told y'all he was a hype. But then, okay, so get in the ring with him then. Mm-hmm. Mix it up.
Yeah. And what he do after that? He got himself a win, got right back in, got himself a win, and he put himself right back in title contention. So the thing with Conwell is, I want to see this dude come back almost immediately. I hope he comes back within the next 6 months. He's on somebody's card. You feel what I'm saying? Because even though he took the loss, I'm still gonna support you, bro. You feel me? I'm gonna be behind you even more now. You feel me? This is why, even in some of the panels I've been on and stuff like that, I'm on butt heavy panels and stuff like that. I'm like, y'all tripping the fuck out by saying this dude's career is over and all of that. Like, you acting like he wasn't the man at 47. Like, what are you saying? If that was the number 1 guy and the number 2 guy, you feel what I'm saying? And they actually were fighting for supremacy of the number 1 and number 2 guy in all of boxing. Not just their weight class, but all of it. You win that fight, you are the king of boxing. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that's what Errol Spence brought to that fight. That's why that fight was so big. That's why me being a huge Terrence Crawford fan is like, bro, you don't say that man is not a Hall of Famer. That's not your fucking place when he was your best win to date, in my Deontay Wilder voice. Well, like, that shit is asinine, my nigga.
You just okay, so you moved on to the other narrative. Like right now, Bud he's in the top 5. I've heard a fan say that he's top 5 ever now. I said, oh my gosh. Like, there's so much boxing, there's so many great boxers. It was such a time to where they was fighting every week, every other week. Like, what's that one time Tyson fought like
Tyson, I think he fought like 6 times in 1 year.
I think it was way more than that. I think one of them fighters fought like 17 times in a year, like, and it wasn't that long ago. It was like, it was somebody, I gotta go back, but I had it. But like, see when you say, okay, so this is my thing. This is why I say that this is a narrative. It's like, okay, if you have him up there in your top 5 ever, okay, cool. I'm not gonna argue with you. But it's very hard to have conversations with people who would say that and then turn around and say Earl ain't shit. It's like, okay, well, you gotta break down the layers to that onion, because that don't make no sense when that's your biggest win. Like, and then the whole thing where they try to say that Earl did all the heavy lifting. It's like, well, if even in marriage, if I come to the table with 75 grand, you come with 25, who did the heavy lifting? Like, regardless of what you did before me, but if I come to, like, you know what I'm saying, even in anything, like we at a job and I bring 75% of the supplies and you bring 25, if I work 7.5 hours and you work 2.5 hours, who did the heavy lifting? Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just is what it is, whether you like the person or don't like the person. You know, and that was one of them. The Tank is finished. Tank is not finished because this is another thing. Lamont Roach was a champion, moving up. Lamont Roach was a champion moving up, but he's a naturally bigger guy than Tank, and they fought to a draw. Now maybe the decision should have had Lamont with his hand raised. You know what I'm saying? Some people say Tank, Tank only fans, they'll say Tank should have had his hand raised. I'll say, man, I can't be mad at the draw. I thought Lamont should have got his hands raised, and I'm probably the biggest Tank fan on the planet. But because Lamont Roach was able to do that with or be able to last or put on that kind of performance, that don't mean that your favorite fighter going to do it. But you got to understand that out of this young crop right here recently, Keyshawn Davis went in there with another champ who took a belt, who got a belt against a Navarrete who was a champion in the lower division, right? He did that. He got in there with a champion. Tank got in there with a champion. Those are only guys that got in there with a champion. Tank just happened to get a draw. That does not mean, and that even furthers UK's point as far as the Mayweather era, not the sentiments about Mayweather. It's the difference, but the era to where if you get a draw or you get your O pop, now you ain't shit, or you're done, you're finished. Like, no.
Yeah, you somehow become somebody's leftovers. I'm like, I don't know when leftovers became part of the boxing conversation. I'm a chef and I don't get it,
He said, I think Bud was hurt because people were discrediting his win. Yeah, you had some OnlyFans that were discrediting his win, but I came up with a new rule after that. Ashley, I came up with a new rule. I said, listen, if you got something going on and you get in the ring with somebody else and they fuck you up, I can't give you that benefit. Like, you chose to get in there, and I understand, because you got to look at it. When he was getting ready to fight, he was supposed to fight Manny. Earl was supposed to fight Manny, and they did that eye thing. He went to another doctor, and he was going to get in there with a fucked up retina with Manny. He was going to get in there. He was one of them things to where at that point in time, especially with Bud going to go do the Amazon, the Black Prime thing and all that, and taking that Avenesian fight, and him sitting around waiting, trying to get this, you was not going to stop Earl getting in there however he was. So my rule was, after seeing that fight, I cannot make excuses for you if you decide to get in there. I will observe and say, hey, man, my guy didn't look right. I'll say that, oh, well, Earl didn't look himself, or like this recent fight. Well, Tank didn't. Me and my lady was pissed. I'm like, man, Tank he ain't, man, I'm pissed, man. I'm like, what is he doing? When Mel got in there with Canelo, I'm like, what is he doing? That's not even how he fight. Like, so I will make an observation. I'm just not gonna make excuses for boxers who decide to go push forward with a fight knowing something wrong. Why? Because you will discredit your opponent. It's the same thing that Loma did with the T.O. win. All of a sudden, my shoulder, same thing that Manny did with Floyd. I had to swimming in Lake Minnetonka with the salt water. And, you know, it's like,
Yeah,
no, man.
exactly.
You know, you had something wrong. You decide to get in there because if you would have won, nobody would ever know. Or you'd have been like, yeah, I did that with a fucked up shoulder. It's like, okay, well, if you would have took credit with a fucked up shoulder, you got to take credit for your loss with a fucked up whatever it is that's going on with you. That was the new rule that I came up with.
Exactly.
So I don't discredit fighters. I don't discredit fighters' victories for that.
Now, I wanted to come in with this because I've been trying to Google this, Google what fighter had the most fights in 1 year. The AI thing keeps bringing me towards this guy back in 1919. Now, this is crazy. This guy named Harry Gribb. He fought 45 times in 1 year. Most recent, 45 times in 1 year. Jim Miller, UFC fighter. He fought 46 times in 1 year. Now, here's the crazy thing, right? This part, it just tickles me because I don't know why. But from 1987 to 2005, right? There was a professional boxer named Reggie Strickland from the USA. This dude will go down in history with the most losses. Like, how the fuck do you have 276 losses, bro?
God damn, you like getting your ass whooped, boy. You got a fetish. But no, look, I wasn't off, AC. Look, I said 17. I said between 17 and 30. It says Mike Tyson fought a record-breaking 15 times in a single year during his first year as a professional boxer in 1985. I was 5 years old.
And he won in his first year of fighting. He fought 26 times. He won 26 fights of his first 28 fights.
And he
That's
won
fucking crazy.
And out of them 15 times, he won 11 of those 15 fights by first round knockout. He fought 13 times a year, in which he also became a world champion. You know, so I knew I knew it was 17. I said 17, but it was 15.
Yeah, that's still incredible, but I'm still fucked up off of how do you lose 200?
You like getting your ass whooped. You got a problem. You know what I'm saying? But let me see. Let's run through some of these other narratives. Let's run through. Turkey saved boxing. Boxing was gonna be straight, man. It's always gonna be somebody that dipped their toes in the water, and they'll either add to the detriment of boxing or they'll uplift it. What I do give Turkey credit for is I think he had the most impact, I think, on resurrecting the heavyweight division back to closer to. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it is like what it was when we had Lennox Lewis, Tyson, Holyfield, all of them guys at the same time. I'm not saying that, but he kind of single-handedly kind of resurrected the status or raised the level of status that I give the heavyweights, because it was dipping down as far as the I would say the quality. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, because you can look at Olympians over the years and what they produce as far as heavyweight. You can look at how certain individuals was just able to dominate, and it was like nobody close. Like now, it's a little more competitive. Like you mix it up. On this night, this heavyweight might get down. Like, I mean, even we were just talking about the Dubois and Usyk. Like that alone, we talking about how a lot of us had what's his name?
Bacoli knocking out Joseph Parker.
No, what's the dude? What was the dude that came from MMA that fought that got knocked out by Joshua, but Fury, he knocked Fury down.
Francis
Ngannou. You know what I'm saying? Like, I give Turkey credit for kind of resurrecting the heavyweight. He did give us undisputed at 175, and to his credit, that was a very politically divided time, because I was feeling bad for Bivol because he didn't get to capitalize on his momentum after beating Canelo. I heard that there was pay issues with that fight. He didn't get all his money from that. And then like it was a period of time because that's when the whole Ukraine and Russia and all that
Yeah,
other
that's
stuff
why he
was
didn't
going
get
on.
paid, because he was still living in Russia, and they was like, "You're not getting paid as long as you live in Russia."
Yeah, and then so we did get the undisputed on that. And what was one other thing?
We got undisputed at heavyweight and a rematch.
Undisputed at heavyweight, you know, and you know he did add some flavor, but I can't say that he saved it. Why? Because he kind of did some things that, in a way, it kind of took away from some big matches that we could have had people not escape just for a bag. Like, if that makes sense. Like, he kind of made it a way to where, well, I'm gonna go over there and fight him when I can go over here and get this bag. Like, and that kind of, you can see the toll that it took on somebody like Jared Anderson, you know. But I can't say he saved it, because overall, I think the U.S. still kind of run boxing, like, to a certain extent. I think it's now. There's other places that are like making surges and all that, but like over here in the States and doing something that the cards, I don't know. But he didn't save it. He contributed greatly to it, but we're gonna see how long his tenure is. So that's another narrative. He didn't do it. He didn't save boxing.
My take is, I'm gonna stay with the same talking point that no, I don't believe he saved boxing. What he did was, you know, when you got a leaky, a stopped up sink, and you're trying to use the plunger to plunge it out and everything, and the plunger's like brute force to it. You know what I'm saying? And it's not really doing it, but you see the water slowly going down now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what boxing was before the Turk. The Turk came along and he's liquid Drano. He just freed up the flow. Said, listen, if you guys really want the money, just make the fucking fights. And in fact, let me take care of this, and that. I'll give you the venue. I'll give you the country. I'll give you the poppin', the poppin' and all the fancy shit. All you got to do is just supply me with the fighters. And that's that's the liquid Drano, because then the fighters was like, oh, we can make the big fights now? Yeah, so I want to see this dude. I want to see that dude. You feel me? Yes, it wasn't embraced the way it probably should have in the beginning. You feel what I'm saying? Because people were like, who is this Turk dude and what is he trying to do? And and it's like, well, if you have to ask who the Turk dude is, then you really didn't go back, and I don't think you watched the second AJ fight, because that's what really set it off, was AJ versus Andy Ruiz, the rematch. So once that fight went down, that showed that the Turk can come in. You can have big fights in Saudi Arabia as far as boxing is concerned. As far as MMA is concerned, they've been doing their thing over in Saudi Arabia. You feel me? But boxing, my thing was, it probably wasn't sanctioned over in Saudi Arabia. They had to file for their paperwork and do a bunch of other stuff. So once it happened, it showed that yes, you can get the A-listers to fly to Dubai because they want to go there anyway, and then enjoy a great night of boxing. And then from there,
agrees with you.
Yeah, and then what happens is now we've got this thing to whereas don't give the man credit he deserved, but understand the importance of what he did.
Yeah,
you feel me?
I can validate that. I can validate that.
Yeah, and that's just my take. It's like, yeah, he just cleaned up the drain pipe so shit can flow. Now everybody's getting accustomed to it, so it's gonna be hard once the Turk is out of boxing. If he does leave boxing like that, it's gonna be hard for these promoters to try to go back and do what they were doing prior to this. Yeah. And then on top of that, you could say, let's just ask this question. Look at what the Turk did. Look at the Turk, and then let's look at entities like Amazon Prime and Netflix picking up championship boxing. So what they're doing is just as great as what the Turk is doing. Because now they're saying, listen, you can be on our platform stream. You don't have to necessarily worry about the pay-per-view, because all we want you to do is put the fight on our thing, and where we get our money from, and we're not really concerned about the pay-per-views, is new subscribers to our platform. Because then they may not want to leave the platform after they see, you can get BritBox, you can watch all of this other stuff. So streaming is the future. So at the end of the day, streaming is going to do a lot more for boxing than what the Turk has done.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Jake Paul rules. Now, a lot of people are coming around to love Jake Paul. You know, I respect the stamp that he put on women's boxing. I respect that he getting these boxers paid. The one thing that I admire Jake Paul about is his potential for when he actually put the gloves down and he becomes a full-fledged promoter. I think people are going to have a problem, but that's where the buck stopped. And I want to say this because I know this is good that you hear, because I know we are polar opposites on this one. But I'm going to say this: it's a lot of people that they shit on Tank. We heard a clip from Wally and how he just took that whole shit and went left when it was supposed to be about Zepeda and Shakur. But a lot of people don't like the fact that, especially when Little Ellaby used to say he's an attraction, like Tank is an attraction, like, you know, he's box office, he's must see. People was like, they kept mocking him, saying Tank is an attraction. They mocked that, right? But you can't find everywhere from Bud to Jake Paul to even Inouye to Shakur to Keyshawn to all of these guys. Ryan wanting to rematch, Devin wanting to fight ultimately, T.O. saying, you know, making names. Everybody wants him, and everybody, some of them hate, a lot of them hate, but nobody gives him his full credit for coming out of the city I'm in, Baltimore, making something out of himself to where he has become must-see TV. So much to the fact that when they found out that he was going to potentially face Jake Paul, they were shitting on it. Yet, they would want a Edgar Berlanga to do it. They would want a Devin Haney to do it. I've heard Andre Ward come out and say he'll come out of retirement to do it. I've heard Antonio Tarver say he would do it. And everybody's in the Jake Paul sweepstakes. Canelo was rumored to be in talks or whatever. That might have been something. And even the great Mike Tyson did it. So I say that to say this: if you can't appreciate the fact that Tank became box office and he's must-see TV, whether you hate him, you know what I'm saying, can't stand him, love him, appreciate what he brings to the table or not, he became box office as a real boxer. Jake used the lane that he had and crossed over into it, and he's integrated himself into it, and people want to worship the ground that he walks on. They want to worship him, right? So I'm like, for me, this is like a crossroads or a transition between boxing being more like wrestling, to where, like, they calling it novelty boxing, to where there is a danger to where the purity of boxing can be ruined, because we want to see shit like Canelo and Jake Paul. We want to see shit like Tank, not me, but you want to see shit like Tank and Jake Paul. Some people would look at Andre Ward versus Jake Paul like shit that don't make no goddamn sense.
Yeah.
But somehow they've created a market or a desire, and there are growing an audience that is going to want that. Only with the solace that on the undercard we might get a championship fight. On the undercard we might see two of the best women boxers ever, or the most highly viewed, or whatever. As a guy, it's almost like a poison pill, a little bit, like, or something like a little trinket, like some kind of intrinsic value to a fight on the undercard. I think that they still should be completely separated. I think Floyd kind of opened up that lane a little bit more, or because people were doing it, but not to the extent that it's growing now, and it will get there. So I give him credit for what he's been able to do, but I don't really think he rules boxing. I think that he's putting his handprint all over it. He's making a lot of money. He's showing up. He's showing how to promote. He's giving people some kind of blueprint to follow if they can, garner the kind of attention that he gives. But I think a lot of people are willingly throwing real boxers who made it out the mud and got up there that are openly hate on them just to praise somebody like him. Like, hate on a guy like Tank, but then praise a guy like him. And I'm like, hold on now. They both live an American dream, but one of them is a pure boxer, like not style, but a straight up boxer. One of them has crossed over and is becoming a boxer.
Now,
but give your take, man, because I know that's you like this one.
Like, my take is this. I appreciate what Jake is doing. When I step back and view the whole picture, there's one talking point I'm always gonna land on, and that's the simple fact that with one of his events he got Netflix to put on 2 championship fights where belts were on the line. You feel me? I give him that credit, and I give him the ability to have that thing going with Netflix. When I look at, if I step back and look at Tank as a whole, and I say to myself, yeah, this dude really came up. You know what I'm saying? I've had my my gripes with him. Mm-hmm. But it still never made me not be a fan or not want to watch his fights, because I was just like, this dude hits people with shit that you got to go back twice and then put that shit in slow motion to actually see the punch. So when I look at him from those aspects, you're dynamite, you're absolute dynamite, and everything else that's crazy when you're in the ring. Now, let me pull back a step further. When I look at young fighters today and what they're doing and what they say they want to do and how they're promoting themselves in and out the ring, when you got a guy who buys a whole block full of homes and he says, you know what, I want to make these shits affordable homes. Real estate is better than gold if you into your finances and everything, because rich people will buy properties and buy up blocks and then sit on it. Mm-hmm. Wait for everything to crash and then try to sell that shit to you at either at a high price, or they buy more when things are at their lowest. Once you control real estate, you control migration. You control migration habits. So these are things that affect humans on a humane level. And when you got a young fighter that's from that area and says, you know what, I walk down this block, I used to do my early morning running for my fights going down this block, and I used to always say, if I had the money, I'd buy this whole block. And then this guy makes that money and buys that whole block. That right there is the American dream. You can't say, oh, he ain't shit. Like, what do you mean he isn't shit? He has a whole fucking block of realty. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying? These are things that only the wealthiest do. And I can look at a lot of fighters and look at what they do and say, yeah, but you're still not doing it on that level. Yeah, you brought up some property, but all of those properties are just for your friends and family. Like, do something to where it impacts a stranger, a single mom. You feel what I'm saying? Who's out here struggling for her rent now? Boom, she moves into one of your affordable houses. That's big right there, man. You change that little boy's or little girl's life and that mother's life. That's big. So he's gonna develop fans on a whole new level. He's gonna develop fans that actually see who the real Gervonta Davis is. Fuck Tank, they're gonna know who Gervonta Davis is. And when I look at shit like that, it's like, wow. Jake Paul, you doing some amazing things for women's boxing. You doing some amazing things for boxing itself by putting that many views on your fight with Mike Tyson, and people got to see those other 2 championship fights that none of the big 4 fucking promoters can get those kind of numbers. They have to wait till that shit streams, and they're gonna get those numbers on the playback, not in real time.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jake Paul, you're a household name. Tank Davis is a household name. Whereas all of these guys, even my guy, Devin Haney, and Terrence Crawford, would still be like, I trade what I have to have what he has. So
that's cool. That's real talk, man.
So when you look at it like that, it's like, I know there are probably some bud buddies that are in the audience like, oh God, no, this AC sacrilegious, bro. I'm going down to the altar. I'm going to pray. I'm going to light a candle. I'm going to get out the holy water. You feel what I'm saying? I'm sending an exorcist to this motherfucker AC house in Brooklyn. Because you need to be exorcised with that shit you just said. And it's like, no, I'm a fan of these guys. I'm looking at what they're doing. I can appreciate what Bud is doing in Omaha. You feel what I'm saying? He's got the mayor on his back. I can appreciate what Keyshawn is doing down in Norfolk.
Yeah, Bud had got a real parade, a real live parade, bro.
The fucking mayor and governor was like, look, where your property is, you now own it. And we're gonna sell it to you for $1. I'm like, oh my God, bro. Wow, that's huge.
It's kind of crazy that he just now getting the notoriety that he should have got a while ago. So we know he would trade it because shit, he would have been, man, if this would have been about 5 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, man, everybody in the world would be talking about Bud, man. But
exactly.
It was a late bloom.
And that's what I mean by saying he would trade it.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? Because all of this stuff happened to you after you had the fight with the guy you said you don't think he's a real Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
Fucking like what's wrong with you, bro? So when I look at Jake Paul, and just to land my plane right here, when I look at what Jake Paul is doing in boxing, I appreciate it. When he puts down the gloves, I think he's going to be one of the best promoters out there in the game today, because he's going to be like, yeah, I did fight. I did put on shows. I know the game. I know how to get you the exposure you want. All my venues are putting up, when I was doing pay-per-view numbers, I was looking at the 1 million minimum, 1.5, 1.2 minimum. That's just the average. Then when I took it to the stream, them shits was, I'm looking at 100 million views. So it's like, yeah, bro, you put some spec on that guy's name when it comes down to playing the game and knowing how to play this boxing game. And that's where I land my plane.
Good. PBC is in ruins. I'll say, listen, man, they got perhaps, the hottest, one of the hottest, if not this number, it's arguable, because you say in statewide, you can say Tank got it. You know what I'm saying? They They got Benavidez coming up. You know what I'm saying? He got the history of the biggest fights. I don't think, and I'm tired of hearing that they in ruins and they gonna do this. They with Amazon, bro. Like outside of Netflix, you know, they got Amazon, and it's just a matter of the fights. They, you know, it's been a transition period, but I'm not gonna beat that. They're not in ruins, but that's a talking point that everybody just wanna, like, somehow they either trying to wrench somebody away from Al or get people to try to run away or whatever. And one of the things we gotta always consider when you talking about the PBC is there's all these little LLCs, and he consults with each LLC. Now it's up to them if they want to heed his advice and move along, but those LLCs have bumps and hiccups. They have personal problems. It's not like a football team where you got 11 people and you can just sub somebody out. Well, their LLC, if they're not fit to fight, they're not going to be in there. And sometimes they choose to turn down fights. They choose to say, oh, no, I'll wait. They choose to buck the system and do something else. But Al, as the guy behind PBC, he takes all the blame. They're not in ruins. They still make the biggest fights. I'm not gonna kick that one. I'm not even gonna kick this Devin is greater than Floyd. I can't even believe people are still.
I'm like that shit is just about as funny as the guy who's got 276 losses. Come on, man, y'all fucking crazy as hell. If you go, well, I'm gonna say it like this: Floyd never was undisputed. I'm like, so fucking what?
Yeah, like it's that's weird. That's real weird. Like when it comes down, even though all them champions he fought, then they play. Well, when did he fight him? And such and such was, you know, he had stepped off the curb and sprained his ankle the night before. Like, come on, man, stop it, man.
Yeah,
so we ain't gonna kick those, man. Those are just some silly things, but talking points that keep popping up. Benavidez is still being all hype. Like, listen, with all of these guys. Like the same challenges I be having for Devin, the same challenges I have for Boots, the same challenges I be having for Shakur, like even Brian Norman initially, like the same challenges. As time goes by and I evaluate these guys, they grow on me. Benavidez grew on me. You know what I'm saying? So I no longer really bet against Benavidez. If I do, it's just playing the odds, but he's past being all hype now. So if you out here still using that as a talking point, you know, you had one too many to drink. Benavidez is serious, man. Like, he's a serious force to be reckoned with, and more than a formidable opponent. Like, I think he got next. And the fact that Nello won't take off his Scooby-Doo drawers and put on his Hanes briefs, you know what I'm saying, and fight the man tells you everything.
Yeah. You asking for $200 million to fight that young man.
Yeah, who all hype. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot for a cherry, man. You a chef, man. You ever had a cherry that was $200 million? You ever had a $200 million cherry in your presence?
No, sir. I ain't never had a $30 cherry in my presence. You feel what I'm saying? I had a chick with a fat ass named Sherry that was in my presence, but that's about it.
And the last one, man, to bring it home, man. I always say on this channel, man, we do not cater to no motherfucking casuals, man. Like, I understand it. You know, leave it. I understand you a casual because you don't have time. A lot of people out here are casuals because they don't have time to look up stuff, look at this interview, check this out, go over this resume and do it. I understand that part. But this channel do not cater to casuals. And I've heard this said on many channels, especially the larger ones. Like, man, hardcores don't matter. Like, casuals really dictate. Yes, to a certain extent, as far as like I said earlier, as far as somebody buying a plane ticket or catching a train or getting in or gassing up the vehicle, you know, buying tickets ahead, making plans, you know, getting concessions, all of that stuff, getting outfits and clothes to wear and finding stuff to do, you know, in the city. Like, yeah, in that aspect, yes, casuals have a lot to say. But don't get it twisted. It's the hardcores that keep stakes in the ground. Like, that's what I base my channel on, stakes on the ground. little hidden gems or things or different perspectives on this boxing that'll help you in between the fights, bridge the gap and learn something about these fighters or look at things from a different approach. And I'm gonna say this. Last week I did this video. And AC was busy. I think he didn't know. I think he just didn't know. I sent the link, but he didn't know. I did this video, right? And I was giving an analogy about how I was calling this rush hour when I was saying perception versus reality. And I was not catering this towards who you think would win between Boots and Conwell. What I was saying is the fact that people are saying Boots is the biggest, baddest, meanest, and all this and all that, and he's at 47, why don't he move up to 54 with all the names? Part 2 is his killing spree can take off, and he can go from stardom to super stardom. It won't be as late as what Bud just did. He can go from stardom to super stardom by making that one move when he's the biggest, baddest thing at 47. And then I said, he's not really being rushed because I start calling them Russian Boots because everybody's like, well, is everybody rushing Boots? I'm like, ain't nobody rushing Boots. They're urging Boots since you already silenced the naysayers, the same shit they shit on Tank about having never unified. You just killed that monster. You slayed that giant. They can never shit on you in that manner. You unified. You stamped your legacy. It's going to take a while if you saying that the Normans and them is ducking, you know, if you want to run with that narrative, right? Or you saying that Barrios is tied up. What are you going to be sitting around waiting for? Go to 54 and let where all the names are, where you can get just as big a bag or even bigger, and you getting valuable names, and your cachet will grow. So just move up one weight class. When your dimensions and your size are bigger than Conwell, but yet we had Oscar on urgent saying that, oh, with a fight on Saturday night, which he wound up getting edged out, he lost that fight. That will put him in position for a championship at 60. I had a guy that was in here watching this and watching that. He waited until after the fight, came in under my video and said, how about now? And I'm like, listen, dummy, you missed the whole purpose of the line. I was saying it was rush hour because Conwell was really being rushed to 60, and people were just urging Boots to go to 54. Nobody was rushing him.
Yeah.
Right? So I say all of that to say this. If people just out here just want to create a narrative. People out here just want to pick up some pom-poms and join a team. They either want to be Team Boots, or they want to be Team Norman, or they want to be Team Tank, or they want to be Team Shakur. I'm getting so sick and tired of that. I don't give a fuck who you pick in a fight. I could care less. All of us are going to be wrong. Because if some of us got all of these picks right, we wouldn't be sitting here talking boxing. We'd be rich. We'd be wealthy. We'd be on yachts. We'll be going to go to Greece and Spain and Italy and all. Like, we'll be all over the world traveling and spending our fucking money because we can predict the future. I don't give a fuck about a pick. What I do want to say is the purpose and the value of this video right here was to share some light on this guy, Charles Conwell, because going into his fight, nobody was talking about him. I used to do the same thing about Sabril Matias when nobody was talking about him. They were just using my content. I mean, my videos were getting 4,000, 3,000, 2.5. Like, I was doing mad numbers. People were just taking the content and running with it. And as a hardcore, I feel that my job is to educate people on some of these guys that nobody would talk about. Why? Because they want to bandwagon one fighter. That's not fun. So as a hardcore, I took on a responsibility to say, hey man, let me do something on them, because like even with Frank Martin, before the Tank fight, used to do content. It was a whole community that adopted and had the interviews. They wasn't doing no content on Frank Martin. I said, let me do some content on Frank Martin. I just picked Tank because Tank was my guy coming up against Frank Martin. But as a hardcore, and if you are hardcore, like, you need to listen to creators who will go out of their way, like that channel, Demosthenes. He always give the highlights of two fighters when there's a potential match. That's a hardcore fan. You need to appreciate and salute these guys because they fill in the blanks. Like, you got the bold print with the fight being matched. Yeah, you know this guy's coming in favorite, and everybody's riding these guys' jock straps, all the A sides, and nobody ever talks about the B sides. As hardcores, We talk about the B-sides.
Yeah.
We shed light on the B-sides. We'll tell you, okay, well, if this happened and that happened and this happened, or you need to be looking out for this and do that. So hardcores keep you entertained and educated from fight to fight. So hardcores do matter, contrary to popular belief.
Yeah.
Go ahead, AC.
A hardcore will look at it like this. The general public will say, oh, this fight's gonna be a wash. Oh, he gonna beat this guy because don't nobody know and who is this guy, and he's got a funny name. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But the hardcore fans will tell you, don't sleep on that guy. Just because you don't know him, look at what he's doing. Look at what he's done. Go check out his ConcuBox numbers and shit like that. And you know, we'll tell you the A side and the B side, and the hardcore will be like, the hardcore will be the guy that says, yo, I just read an article that even though he's the favorite, he's suffering from hand injuries or chronic shoulder injuries. So don't be surprised that if he can't knock this guy out early, that this fight goes to a decision. The hardcore fans give you the fight breakdown. They talk about the stats. You feel what I'm saying? While a casual says, I ain't really got time for all the stats, but you'll use the hardcore's talking points, whether it's for your guy or against somebody that your guy is fighting. So at the end of the day, it's the hardcores that keep the channels going. Most, I would say, I'm gonna say most of the good content creators are definitely hardcore fans, because you can have a casual fan that'll get up and go to the fight because they looking at it as going to the club. But the hardcore fan that's going to the press conferences, that are showing up backstage at the weigh-ins, that are there during fight weekend, getting their little clips and interviews in and shit like that, are there at the first press conference and the last. These are the guys that you say, yeah, you're a true hardcore fan, and you got the literal receipt for this shit, because you're at the fights. You're putting your time in to go to the fights and feel that energy. It's easy to call a baseball game while you're listening to it on the radio or watching it on TV, but it's different when you're there.
Yep.
Way different when you're there. You feel the energy of the crowd when like, I can just imagine what that energy was like when Boots did his walkout for the Stanionis fight. Like, I watched it and I watched the walkout and everything, but the energy for when Boots was there, like if Boots lands a good shot, just that rah shit, type of shit that makes you jump up like, whoa, if you was dozing off or some weird shit like that. But at the end of the day, man, the hardcore fans is what keeps boxing moving. Any one of these A-list celebrities that we constantly see at fights, those are hardcore fans. That he's not a casual, because you get that A-list celebrity to sit down, that motherfucker will talk your ears off and tell you stats and shit that you didn't even know of. He's like, yeah, I got to talk to him after the fight. Yeah, I went to that fight. Yeah, that one was, I went to that fight. And then like 3 days later or two days later, I went to go see this amateur joint because my man was telling me about it. It's his little brother. And you just sitting there like, wow, God damn. Like, who'd have known Rosie Perez was a big boxing fan like that?
Yeah, she is. What's up, Pop?
Same shit. What's going on, man?
Not much. Let me just speak on this, man. I'm gonna let you have the floor. I can tell you this: when Boots walked out, it was almost like it was this anticipation that a legit star was about to come out. Because you look up at the screen and they showing the pads and all that. Because I know the TV version, I know they were showing it, But then you look there and then you see him come out and he was playing the Undertaker music. And it was like this feeling like, okay, like he about to come out. That was like the first time, like, okay, so he got some star like attributes. Like, so I kind of like seeing it like with my own eyes, like it was different. It was like, okay, he got some star attributes. And then for him to go in there perform the way he did, like he did exactly what he needed to do. You know, and then to show that, okay, this is just like I'm about to take off, like I'm taking off, but I'm just getting started. My trajectory is still high. So that's the vibe I got. It was like you can kind of feel like the beginning of the stardom, like a budgeting stardom for him. Yeah. Looking at it and looking at the crowd and how everybody had their phones out with the lights and all that, and he got a cult like fan base out there. I ain't gonna lie, bro. But that's it, man. We were just out here talking about some of the narratives and just addressing some of them.
Man, you know them narratives. I just seen somebody wanted to push a narrative, have fun with it, and said that Jay Prince got Shakur Stevenson hemmed up and got him hemmed up at the gym. He won $6 million.
That's crazy work.
I seen the preview, not a preview, but I seen a video where somebody did like a 26-minute video about how he fired Jay, and I'm like, and then throughout the day, I kept hearing that was a rumor, but they're not gonna come back and police it up. They just gonna act like that shit ain't never happened. Like, so I don't know, but I don't think I wouldn't reason that he did, man. Like everything is saying he didn't, but it's nothing concrete. But people love trying to be first about some shit.
He ain't said nothing, so it's two ways you can take that. Either it is or it ain't. But everything that he say gonna happen, he tweet.
Pretty much, yeah.
Whatever he say not gonna happen, he tweets.
I'm thinking, man. I'm thinking, shit, a motherfucker might have to relocate if, you know.
Oh, yeah, no
I read between the lines. It's like, cause ain't that where you lay your head down there, brother? Like,
he gonna be back in Jersey.
That's his territory down there.
He be moving to Jersey quick.
Man, listen, Jersey got a lot of places where you could dump a body. That's all I'm gonna say.
Bills, salute Bills.
I mean, he's such a big star, and Floyd got so much money. Why he go over there?
Yeah, he's a big star, right?
Big star. Go over there and lead the way for the Floyd Mayweather, the money team. Hey, that team in a minute.
Well, it's this thing they say that happens with certain people, right? Where it's like they be right there for like super success, and some people are scared to be successful.
I seen that? I seen that firsthand, bro. Firsthand. I seen that. Boy, did I see that firsthand.
Some people don't. They get caught up in their head and they're like, well, what is? And then they start making moves that's like that's taking you back, or that's a side step. That's a parallel move. That's not increasing your trajectory. That's not taking you and jumping on the trampoline, preparing you to propel out into the atmosphere. Like that's a step backwards, bro. But some people are actually scared of success because they don't know, one, how they're gonna handle it, or it's the fear of the unknown. Or what if I get that high and I fail, or I fall on my face, and they get in their head, man. And I'm not sure if that's what Shakur is, but we gonna see.
I seen it before. That nigga's crazily in debt right now. Blew it, rap career. Early 2000s. You talking about blowing it. Didn't show up to the meeting. All that work we did, you ain't go to the meeting. They flew from Atlanta to up here.
Yep.
You didn't even take the meeting, man. I ain't never speak to them people again. That shit was crazy. But fans gonna be fans and push the narrative, especially the content creators that they need. You know what, Shakur might have done that because these dudes ain't making no views. They need some money. They live off of this.
Yeah.
Probably not though. Right? These niggas is just trash. You throw something out there, at least lead the fans one way, and then be truthfully honest with you. If they do that, misdirection is the best way to capture the fans. Something they never saw coming.
You know what? This is almost like, now this shit might work. This shit might work every now and again, but you know how when a motherfucker be running up on a broad and he just keep calling her ugly. Oh, you ugly. You just ugly. You ugly, man. You don't look like shit. Look, you look like a mogwai. Like look at your face. You just ugly. They ain't gonna get you no pussy. When you think about it. So a lot of these creators, man, they just get out here and that's what they do. They pick a fighter. You just ugly and just everything is just shit. That's not gonna get us to fight, bro. Like, it's not gonna get us in there, man. It's not gonna, like, your fan base. It's just gonna create stuff and it's just gonna make it even ugly and nasty and it's gonna create everything but a real motherfucking fight. Why not just?
He's not gonna come to your channel and want to sit down and talk to you. He's not gonna do that. But you just saying that, keep saying it.
Then you get embarrassed when you try to show up at one of his pressers and you ask a question and nigga say, "Who you with?" Oh, get the fuck up out of here. Fuck out of here. You feel what I'm saying? These dudes be acting like fighters don't be watching this shit, or they ain't got somebody to watch it and be like, "Yo, I saw these dudes talking about you. This is what they were saying." You feel what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, man, us as fans, let's, like we keep trying to say on your channel and Pop's channel, you know, keep your feelings out of the conversation. You feel me? Just talk about the facts of what happened. It's nothing wrong with being a fan of a fighter and critiquing him and saying whether or not you really thought he won or lost a certain fight, because then if there's a rematch, then it's like, all right, I'm gonna be behind my guy, and I think my guy gonna you know, put the beats to this motherfucker in the rematch. And you know, we've seen that type of shit I don't know how many times through history as being a boxing fan. So man, I just try to say, you know what, I love the new attitude I adopted, because a lot of shit just don't fuck with me like that anymore. Because I was just like, you know what, I watch this sport because it's supposed to be a distraction of everything else that I'm doing. And right. Plus, it's the type of distraction that I look forward to. So I'm not going to go into the tribal path. If this is your opinion about this fighter or whatever, you can have it. But don't try to get me to subscribe to your opinion if your opinion is not based on not one factual point.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm laying on that part right there. But
well, I'll say this, man. I heard let's just call him Captain Egghead. Let's just call this guy Captain. I heard Captain Egghead basically say, I don't know what's wrong with some of these content creators thinking they could just talk to boxers any old kind of way like that, like, but because he was looking back at some Muhammad Ali shit and how you know how they were doing back then and how they were talking to Ali. But then a co-sign somebody like OK TV for how he talk. I'm like, man, and then be like, it ain't right. Like when Brian Norman say he gonna put hands and feet on this motherfucker when it's like, keep that same energy then. It's like, and then this what happened. This would be so funny to me when these motherfuckers flip-flop. Yeah. Like so let's just say Boots go to 54 and Norman is there and he becomes even more of the beast that we see him being. Like, let's say the fight never take place and Boots never put hands and feet on him, or however people think it's gonna happen. Like, you know what I'm saying? However you think the fight gonna go. Let's just say that fight never happened. They never crossed paths. They gonna look the same way people look with all these. Cause I know you remember, Pop, all these Tank fans that done popped out, all these hubs now that were Tank fans, and we know what side they used to be on. They done flip-flop. They done jumped over the fence, and you would think they was there forever. Like, no. So they're gonna look real wild, man, like flip-flopping, man. And that's when people get to backtracking. But listen, man, I've never really, you know, that shit be funny as hell to me when I see it every day, man. I see it every day.
Yeah.
It's just like, respect the boxers, man, and do shit that's gonna help us get the fights. Not shit that's gonna put a further divide, because that shit don't get us closer to getting the fight. We just be about to bust a brain vessel arguing about these motherfuckers all the time. But that's it for me, man. Good cook, AC. Thanks for coming through, man.
Yeah,
Salute, Pop, for coming through. Where you want to land your plane at, Pop?
Man, don't listen to the narrative out there, man. Come get it from the real, right over here, man. And on that one, man, I'll see y'all tomorrow, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Pop. I was
subscribe to Pop channel, man. Smoke Session, man. Look him up, man. We be over there kicking it most of the time when it be a group of us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But Pop, I just was trying to say I was having some technical difficulties earlier because it was windy before it started raining and shit. And that shit was just fucking up my Wi-Fi bad, bro.
This New York shit is not a game, and you gotta wait till the summertime for it's good.
Exactly, man. But great show, Body, man. Great cook on both y'all channels, man. It was relevant topics and shit like that. So at the end of the day,
great cook, Body, for real.
Yeah,
appreciate it, man.
You know,
all right, man. We'll catch up then. Y'all have a good evening. Yeah, man, that's how we get down, man. Just, you know, reasonable conversation, man. I appreciate everybody who came through today, man. Bills, Pop, AC, Anthony Robertson, Ashley's Pop Head. Hope y'all subscribe. Mexican Boxing came through. Coke Key came through. Easily Baked came through. His Twin came through. Cookie Monster came through. Man, we had a nice little show, man. I appreciate all the love and the support. Latch Puma came through. Bold came through. Man, I appreciate all y'all, man. Thanks for giving me a little bit of y'all time, man, as we cook, man. Hopefully, you put something in your rucksack. Hopefully, you found something of nutritional value. This is fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. Fact-based, not opinion-based content. You know, and I look forward to the next one. Anyways, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.